Okay, hello everybody. I just wanted to kind of do a quick video about some things that a lot of people probably are not aware of, because on this channel that I have, the Era of My Ways channel, it is the Era of My Ways because I am Aquarius and we're going into the age of Aquarius. And with the age of Aquarius, we're going to be revealing a lot of things that have been hidden. As you can see out there in the world right now, there's a lot of people on their own platforms telling the truth about many, many, many different subjects. Now, my subjects are pretty broad. Like, my knowledge base is pretty broad because I have this drive within my soul to know a little bit about everything. Now, I'm not the foremost authority on anything, as Jordan Maxwell would tell anyone. I like that statement because I don't know anything. But what I do know is that I exist, at least in this kind of context, in this form at this moment. And what I like to show the world is the different things that are actually out there that they may not know about. And since I deal with occult subjects and I have now gained the eyes to see, I say it's like donning a new pair of glasses, because you can then see things in a different light or from a different perspective that will then gain you some knowledge and awareness about such things. So what I am going to present today is about these ceremonies that have been going on. They actually recently had a ceremony that I didn't know about that had happened in Luxor, Egypt, recently on November the 25th, 2021. Now, these occultists do things for a reason. And as a lot of us are out here doing, we're trying to compile the pieces of how to read the writing on the wall, so to speak, with the way that they interact and communicate with each other and with us, unbeknownst to us, the things that they do. They use signs and symbols and subvert our subconscious for their purpose and to put out messages. So without any further ado, I want to share this because I found it really odd about why this elaborate ceremony. But then I'm going to go back over some other ceremonies that were held that you guys can go research, that are also very, very questionable, that most people don't know about. So right now I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And what I have here, let's get rid of the Zoom thing. We don't need to see that. Just get rid of that. Okay. What we have here is this Sphinx ceremony. And this is in Luxor, Egypt on November of this year. And the symbolism that is in there, if you know anything about Jordan Maxwell's work, he teaches you how to see, basically. See the symbols, see the shapes and the forms and the things that they do. Let me go ahead and hit play on this and you guys can see what I'm talking about. So as we're looking at this, we're also looking, let's just look at the way the people are standing, for an example. Now, I'm going to pause it right here. Look at the pattern that they have formed with these people standing almost in the flower of life pattern or a diamond formation. They're kind of triangulating each other in this pattern where it's like a Fibonacci sequence too. So it's a pattern where there's points, and then you've got the two people, and then on the next row you'll have the two people, in the middle between the other two people. That is energy. Now, if you think of this entire game, this framework right here, let's just use this as a small microcosm of the macrocosm. Each person represents energy, and they are creating a grid pattern with these people standing in these rows like this. But as the procession of people walks in, marching into the circle, that circle represents the womb of a woman. And the people entering, they're wearing white. What is white that enters the womb of a woman? Well, you know, it's going to be the phallic symbol for this. So they're creating, they always use sexual context to enhance the magic of their ceremony, whether it's actual full on that they do in private in their own time, like eyes wide shut kind of thing. They do that kind of stuff. This is legitimate. And so I'm going to just hit play again. Now this procession is marching into the circle. Just keep these things in mind. So the right there, they're showing right there with that big, with the big phallic symbol, basically, of the what they call the statue of Osiris. That is actually a phallic symbol, and it's supposed to represent the phallus of Osiris. But we have all these people, you know, entering the womb. It's all sex magic, but they're not telling you that. You have to have the glasses, the eyes to see. Let's just keep going. So they're entering in and they're bringing in, I guess, what would be considered the crown jewel, the seed, you know, into the womb of the woman. And they just pass through. Now, at some point, they do stop and do a ceremony inside the circle. They're going through the columns. Now, the columns, the two pillars in all of this occult knowledge, they have the two pillars. They have the middle pillar, which is the third one, but you have the left and right path of all these columns. Now, see, as you can see, there's world leaders and all this that are in this. Yeah, they're just having a good time. These people are occultists who put these things on. The entertainers, not so much. They might not know what they're doing, because usually the peasants don't know what the king is up to, you know. So they get hired to perform, and the people think that it's an honor to be there. Let's go over here to CERN. I need to tell you about CERN. So many people don't know that they actually performed a ritual inside CERN. And this ritual also includes dancing, which is energy. You know, again, we're dealing with moving energy throughout. So what this is supposed to represent is this guy is looking for the God particle. And I mean, yeah, he discovers the dance of the cosmos. This is the dance of Shiva. They have the Shiva statue outside their facility there at CERN. Now, this is what's interesting about this. And I believe they're putting it in our face without actually telling us, with all this symbolism. See, once we get familiar with all the symbolism and signs that they use, we will begin to comprehend what the message is that they've been telling us for so long. So in this image right here, for example, you have the dark figure out on the distant horizon. It could be death, could be Kronos, you know, because they do worship Satan, which is Saturn, which is Kronos, which is time, which is death. Yeah, the Grim Reaper, all these things are represented. Saturn has many, many names and icons that it represents. Now, this guy just went from the facility inside CERN out into the desert plain. You tell me what they're trying to tell you. What are they trying to tell you? What are they doing at CERN? Well, it could be that they are doing some teleportation experiments, because they did mention on their website, now I don't know the exact quote, and I'm not going to pull that up right this moment. They mentioned that they may bring something back once they collide these particles, or they may send something through. And I believe what they did is they opened up different portals for teleportation, for time travel. These things are starting to come to the surface on the internet about what these people have actually been doing. And so here he is, he's out there in the desert, he's kind of disoriented. Here he's inside the machine, the facility there at CERN. Now, why is he acting like he's high or something in there? I don't know, And see this, I guess he was disoriented, and they flash it around so that you don't really get a solid message. And so your subconscious mind is processing all of these images, and your subconscious mind gets it. There he goes. He's circling, and look, his watch starts going backwards in time. Backwards, people, backwards. Yes. What are we dealing with? We are dealing with information. We're going to scroll that back. See, his watch was going backwards. Now, one thing I want to say, now, why is a guy in his underwear, for one thing? Why? I know it's hot in the desert, but it's just one of the more weird things that we don't quite comprehend. He's got no pants. That doesn't make any sense. He's wearing a shirt, and a tie. So he's wearing this skirt-like thing. And the only thing I can say that represents is wind, or, some sort of traveling. Or when you get a sense of something spinning like that, it's like wind rushing by, or a sense of energy wisping past. These things are symbols, so we have to look at them in a different way. This isn't entertainment. None of this is entertainment. The people dancing the dance, maybe they think it's, oh, well, I'm getting paid really well, let me go dance for these people. No. This guy is spinning. Now, one thing to know about spinning, this is someone that had spent some time with some Native Americans. They said that anything counterclockwise pushes away energy. This also represents going backwards in what we know as time, because if you go counterclockwise on the clock, you're going backwards in time. But anything clockwise brings in energy, according to Native American tradition. Now, I don't know, I haven't fact checked that, but I'm putting that out there because someone that I know did spend time with some Lakota Indians. They're not Indians, they're Native Americans or indigenous peoples. And they told him this. So I started thinking about all of these things. When you see someone spinning counterclockwise, what does it mean? When they spin clockwise, what does it mean? Well, we can start to kind of read the language at that point of what we're actually seeing in all these ceremonies. So here we go. Look, he's time traveling. Okay, here is the dark force outside the circle. What does he represent? I think it's anybody's guess at this point, but he's outside the circle of protection. The circle of protection is a ring whenever you're doing a ceremony. Usually you have the pentagram, which represents the body of a person, usually. Sometimes if it's upside down, it's the head of the goat, but they said it's also representative of the adverse man, or to harm man is upside down. And the right side up pentagram with the point at the top is supposed to represent the benefit of man, or man's natural energy, I guess. And I could be completely wrong. I've touched on these things a little bit. I haven't found an absolute source for all this information. So I'm open and welcome to anyone to come and bring me knowledge, only if you can do it in a professional way, because I don't have time for negativity. But this is a learning curve right here. This guy is performing this dance in the middle of the circle. That's energy. Again, whenever you're in motion, you are eliciting energy. You know, you're emitting this energy from your body, and it's causing a field to happen around you. And the different positions of the body, if you study anything from India, then you know that the poses actually hold a specific resonant energy and a frequency that have meaning. You know, they know this in Hawaiian tradition. They know this in Japan. You know, they know this obviously in India and indigenous cultures. Around the globe, you'll find this information that everything that they do is for a purpose. It's not just random acts. And that's exactly what we see here. So this guy's dancing inside the circle, which is a circle of protection. I believe this guy, this dark figure on the outside, he may be Kronos, or he may represent the Grim Reaper, or he may just represent a faction of darkness. Darkness is usually ignorance, and the white is usually knowledge. This guy is dark, which means he probably is up to no good. I would say that he's representative of a negative force, possibly the negative pole of the positive and negative polarity. Yeah, so, you know, obviously this is all about occult knowledge. It's hidden from mainstream, and we need to know this stuff. So we're going to learn all these things together. Now he's walking slowly. He's wearing a robe too. This is very important to note, that throughout our society, even, people are donning robes and they don't know why. Robes represent magic. They represent the magician, the person who's going to be in charge of a situation, like a judge or a pope, or even the graduates at school. Why do we wear robes? It's a ceremony. Ceremonies represent magical practice. And this is the thing that we need to come back into our collective knowing about. Now, this is another thing. Why do you need to have an orgy? Again, we're talking about sex magic. Why do you need to have this on a scientific research center? Quote, because, you know, again, we're talking about occult knowledge. We're talking about dark practice, because the difference between dark magic and the light or white magic is dark magic is used against others. White magic is used to benefit others. We need to know these things because we're doing this every day. We feel like we are not a part of the magical practice that's out in the world, but we are very much in tune with it and connected to it, because nothing is separate out here. We are all connected by the veil that we cannot see, which is this cosmic ether. They call it quantum now, but it is the ether, and it connects absolutely everything. You affect the ether with the emotions and intentions that you put out on a daily basis. So that makes you a magician. Whether you know it, believe it or not, it doesn't matter. It's there. And if you dare to research into any of this, you will find that they've been trying to hide the knowledge from everyone in the knowing of themselves and the power that they obtain within their small form. We are very, very powerful creator beings. Each and every one of us are as gods, plural, because we can create with our thoughts. And here in this dense reality, we have to create with our hands too. But in the higher realms, when we can achieve greatness with our minds, we can create with just our mind. If you read the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, it'll tell you that. And I'm telling you, that book has got some truth to it. So here we go. We're going to keep playing. Here's the magician or magi, dark magi. I don't know, it looks like he may have fallen out of the circle. He's raising his right hand, and I'm assuming that's a man. Not sure. Looks like a man. So He raises his hand. The man falls. And here's CERN. The collision failed. But look, he's falling. He's falling into a different dimension or being transported through a different dimension. Look at this. Something's happening. Look, falling. He's in a multi-dimensional state. Here's this. Now you see this in Stargate SG-1, you know. Let's think about that. Let's think about how Stargate SG-1 is always telling you something too. Everything in Hollywood's telling you something. So this is a Stargate. It represents a Stargate. And CERN is exactly like the whole design of the machine. When you look at the photos of it, it's exactly like SG-1, except it seems like CERN is a little bit more clunky, technical, electrical stuff. And the SG-1 seems to be a little bit more refined as a Stargate. Yeah, well, that's pretty much it. And you can go and look at that one online as well. If you just look up CERN symmetry, that's what that's about. Now, I can also put these in the comments section. But here's another one that you need to be aware of. This is the Gotthard Tunnel ceremony. Now this one, I'm telling you, there's so much here to talk about. The very beginning of it is interesting because it starts with this stagecoach coming in. What do we know about the stagecoach right now? Right now, we've got people out here in the world talking about Tartaria and how the timeline really doesn't match the infrastructure that's already in place. Like you have horses and buggies, but you don't have mass producing glass factories for all the amount of windows and building materials that these other buildings represent. And these buildings are enormous. We're talking about the cathedrals and the ornate Ionic columns, or Greek, what they call Greek revival and all this stuff. No, 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 no. We're being fed a lie. And so this looks like they're starting at a timeline in the 1800s, so to speak. So, it's the 1800s. There's like they're representing their great reset that they did 200 years ago. And here they just go running through. It doesn't make any sense to me, but they go running through the tunnel, you know, with their stagecoach. It's like, okay, here's the false timeline that starts. Now look at this. Look at these people. What do they look like to you? Well, number one, they look like prisoners because prisoners wear suits like that. Number two, they look like zombies, zombie slaves, because they're all marching in unison. No emotion, no physical joy or anything is being emitted. They're marching like they are being controlled. And they look like they're mind controlled or zombied, you know, I mean, like they're a bunch of zombies. And what have they been telling us on TV about this zombie apocalypse? Yeah, they're going to have it if we keep going in the direction that they're going with what they're doing to people, because the year right now is 2021 and we're in December and they're still doing the, you know, and people are still lining up for that and still dying. So yeah, we're not going to talk about those. We're not going to add those names to this, but you know, those little vials with the little sharp things on them are still going in people to this day. Now they are marching along, looking like droids. Look at their faces. I mean, all these people are paid, obviously, and they're young. Look at them. But really, I mean, it's the horde. It's the zombie horde. And they're marching through. And here they go. They, you notice In the background, they're playing like videos of older trains that are actually, you know, blowing a hole in the tunnel. You should see the equipment that they have to go through these tunnels now. I mean, it'll blow your mind. Go look up the tunnel machines. These things are enormous, and they can bore holes like for several miles in a few hours. It's crazy. They basically melt the mountains. All right, so here we go again. Look at what they're doing. You want to always look at the actions that they're doing. They're basically using sign language. This is what is happening. And, you know, although I have not sat to try to translate what that is exactly, we already know that it's just, it just represents so much, but most people don't look deeper into it. They just watch as these people perform, and they think, oh, okay, well, this is weird. Because this one really was weird. They did an outside part to this entire thing. And I'm going to try to find that one next because I didn't add that. But they go outside, and you can't even explain what's happening because it's just too bizarre. But they have Baphomet that comes in, of course. Baphomet is on the scene. You know, they got to have that one because they call your children kids for a reason. They're goats. They're considered beasts of burden and all that. So here we have, I guess, representing the fallen angels. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of weird. They've got dust that they got a sock with some dust in it. I mean, really? Obviously, you know, the transgender agenda is in there. Again, we got sexual magic going on. Yeah, you explain that to me because this is now I don't have any problem with people loving each other. I don't. But when it comes to this kind of stuff, I got a problem with it because most people don't really get what it represents. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the opening ceremony for a tunnel that they dug. Think about that for a minute. And then look at this and go, what in the world? You know, I mean, like, what are we looking at? Look at this. Why is he wearing that mask on his head? You know, he's pretending to be some sort of weird angel. Okay, now here, I wanted to talk about this for a moment because I was like, okay, what are they representing with these ghillie suits? Basically, what is that supposed to be? What does it represent? Well, I had to go do some digging because to me it looks like cousin It. But in Africa, these represent spirits. They're ghosts. They're spirits. And if you know anything about what's happening in the world in the occult side of things, in the occult knowledge, people are actually possessed with entities that they cannot see. Now, this comes from Gnostic teachings about the archons, the Archons, the archons. And the archons are hidden controllers in our world that we cannot see, but they exist, and they exist as thought form entities because I've actually experienced them for myself. When you get to know yourself really well and know whether your thoughts are your own or not, because you should know what your heart says. You should know your innermost feelings about your life and about how you feel about others. And, you know, if you're a good person, then you know that you're all about helping people or at least carrying a positive attitude to people in your world. Now, for me, it has been a journey of learning because I was very much raised in a society and my parents were very dualistic, where they would be good and bad. And I didn't get that. I didn't understand why they would talk about people and then, praise them when they're around. It was kind of like this dualistic mindset, and I didn't get that. But later in life, once I learned to be like, I don't want to be that way, I don't want to accept that aspect. And so I would push it out, push it out, push it out. Whenever it would come up in my mind, push it out, push it out. Well, I had an instance where I was working on a production and I'm walking through the director's village. They call it video village when you're walking through where all the monitors are and they monitor all of the filming. They had called lunch. I brought my lunch and I would take a nap because I wanted to be refreshed and rested for the next, 8 hours or whatever we had to be there. And I'm walking past this director's chair and they have all of their personal belongings everywhere. We all did. I mean, that's what we do. We trust each other because we're basically like a family. When you're on a movie set, you're basically like family because you're going with these people everywhere, every day. And I'm thinking about my lunch. Now, this is just an example of what happened to me. I'm thinking about my lunch and I'm just kind of, thinking about what I brought and, I'm going to be having a nap. I'm walking past a director's chair with a black backpack on it and it's passing on my right. As I glance over at this backpack, this thought form comes into my head. Now, this is not me, and I know myself. See, this is how they get you. I looked, and as soon as I laid eyes on that backpack, this thought form comes in my head and says, "You want to take that?" And that's when, because I had been learning about this stuff, like to know your thoughts, know thyself. If you've ever heard this in any kind of esoteric teaching or occult knowledge, you know that one of the number one rules is to know thyself. So when this thought form comes into my head, you want to take that? Oh man, I just immediately, my eyes went forward and I was speaking inwardly to this thing that was trying to convince me that I needed to steal somebody's stuff. I had already been on movies and stuff for like 8 years and this thing happened, So I immediately said, "No, I don't," and get out of my head. I was fuming. I was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it. I can't believe that thing just did that to me." Like, they are real. These thought form entities called archons are absolutely real. And if you don't know yourself, you're being influenced. That's all I got to say. Because they want to subvert your energy to bring you down back to their level so that they can feed off of your energy. And if you know anything about Robert Monroe and the Monroe Institute in Virginia, he talks about this, where he traveled into the astral realm and he saw these entities feeding off of what he called the loosh, Loosh, loosh of people. He said he saw them and that these things were like vampires and they're sucking the energy off of people. Well, it's fascinating, because we see a lot of this in movies. And although I can't think of one right offhand right now, there's plenty of them out there that are available to go and do your own research. With the movies and the magical practices, the occult rituals and the ceremonies and all of this stuff that's everywhere right in our faces. And yet here we are, going about our day. Oh, got to go to work. Oh, let me go down to the coffee shop or go shopping, or let me look at my social media. This stuff is serious. And if we don't raise the awareness of it, we're just going to remain blind to everything that's happening around us. So, and I'm sorry to get off of this whole CERN thing. This thing is a magical practice. They're telling you about the spirits. Now, that's another thing about the spirits. The alcohol, Al-Ghul. Al-Ghul is a spirit, a dark spirit. And Al-Ghul is a term from the Arab nations. I was going to try to say Arabic, but Arabia or Arabic. That is a term from the Arab nations, and it means dark spirit. Why do they call alcohol Al-Ghul? Alcohol is The term comes from al-ghul, which is dark spirit. Why do they call it spirits? Because let me tell you, when you drink alcohol, especially excessively, if you become an alcoholic, why do you think you cannot stop drinking? Why do you feel like you become addicted to some substance? Whether it's alcohol or drugs or sex or whatever it is, people get weird addictions. Remember that there was a TV show called My Strange Addiction. And there was this woman, she was eating fingernail polish, and all these people doing weird stuff, eating weird things or doing weird things. Why do you think they're doing that? Do you think it's the person themselves? No. It's the things that are attached to them that can influence their mind. Read about it. Open your mind. Go look at this stuff. This is serious. I am not kidding. I'm trying to help people. That's what I try to do. I know that my purpose here is to raise the awareness in the weirdest ways, because I've always been interested in the weird things in the world, just to know, just to see. Let me look what's under this rock. Let me look what's behind this tree. What's in this forest? What's down that deserted road that most people won't go down on the internet or otherwise. I got some weird books, about occult knowledge, because I want to know what is going on here in this existence, because we have not been told the truth. We've been lied to on every level, and they compartmentalized everything. They broke it all apart so that to try to find the truth is so hard, when there's so much disinformation. They knew that we would be running around, looking, chasing our tails, going in circles. Who's lying to me? Who's telling the truth? What's real? What's reality? What's fiction and nonfiction and all these things? We have all these questions. But you and me, we're the answer. You who's watching this video now, you are the answer. Your neighbor is the answer. The people in other countries are the answer. We are the ones. We are the connecting points. We are the flower of life. If you know what it looks like, you know what I'm talking about. We have all the answers we've ever wanted, but we have to work together. And that, I cannot stress that enough, So I'm just going to keep playing this video because I want people to comprehend all of these things. I mean, look at this. These are rituals. I don't know what this moss man guy with the green, I don't know. Really? I don't know. I don't know what he is. But then, they've got the skulls. This is pagan. We're getting into the paganism. What they represent specifically for their purpose, I have no idea, but it's definitely pagan. Most people don't know that Christmas, in Beltane, this is all paganism. The Easter bunny, Easter and all this is all paganism. And that's what, witchcraft? No, it's not witchcraft. What they did was take the knowledge from the people, because they put the fear in the people that, woo, this is scary. This is witches and warlocks and warlords and all this other stuff. You got all this weird evil that they're trying to perpetuate. Oh, you go there and you're not with God. Well, that's not exactly true, because paganism is as close to God as you can get, because paganism is about nature. It's about the elements. You are the elements and they're all around you. Am I a witch? I wouldn't consider myself a witch. I feel like that's a stigma. I think that that's been made, just like conspiracy theorists, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. No, I am someone who wants to know the truth. And I'm not afraid to go into the farthest depths of the internet and the world to find out the truth. I'm ready. I'm ready for everything to be revealed. And that's what I'm here for. I question everything. Can I do that? Why doesn't anybody question anything anymore? Sorry to get on a rant, but it's crazy what these people think sometimes. So here we are. They're wearing white. Oh, yeah, there's Baphomet, by the way. Baphomet's having a good time, dancing around. Yeah. What does Baphomet represent? Well, I don't really see his boobs, but it's supposed to represent the male and female aspect, but it also is the head of the goat, which I find kind of bizarre. Now, who is this guy? He looks like the snake oil salesman, if you ask me. That would be like pharmaceuticals. Yeah, snake oil is what they sell. And now it looks like this thing's almost over. This thing is just so weird. Okay, here's the peasants. The peasants, who are they waving to? I guess they're supposed to be waving to their lord. Yeah. Got the peasants and the slaves of the mine shaft slaves. And I'm sorry, I wish these people would wake up. Every single one of them. I wish they'd wake up and realize what they are actually doing. Oh, now they're like coaxing the donors of this event, I guess. These people probably paid a very, very expensive ticket to be part of this. Yeah. Yep. I can't even imagine what they've paid. So there's their train. They got their train in the tunnel. It's all just so bizarre. Now, like I said, this is only I think this is the second part of this entire thing, because it actually has a much bigger aspect to it, where they're actually outside too. And I wasn't able to find that right away because I just wanted to go ahead and get this video out. Gothard Tunnel. Look it up. That's just another thing. They're doing these ceremonies without our knowledge. The halftime show of the Super Bowl is also a ceremony that most people don't know about. Again, you're talking about, they're usually in a circle, looking for these common denominators. They're usually in a circle, which is, it's kind of like this, except it's usually on the ground. And the circle represents like a safety zone a lot of times when they're summoning demons or summoning other, spirits of any kind, dark forces, whatever it is. Whenever they're doing a ritual, they usually have a circle. It's the sacred circle. And then the sex magic, it's always there in some form, male, female kind of interactions or whatever. The nudity is also a thing. Let's just keep sharing the knowledge with each other, because it's very important. It's very important that we gain this sight of whatever it is they're trying to do. Now, I know pretty much the basic of what they're doing is subverting our subconscious mind. That's with imagery and manipulation, through movies. They're telling us, they're sending us messages in movies, but most of the time people don't get it because they don't have the eyes to see. And we need to help them to see, because this magical practice, this dark magical practice, is real. And the rest of us are out here trying to pick up the pieces of what it is that's going on. But when we use our heart, when we put the love frequencies out to each other, that's our white magic practice. Okay, you don't have to be delving into these weird ceremonies to put white magic out into the world. You are the magic. Your individual thoughts. Who are you? You are not your body. You're not. Find the you inside of you. Where do your thoughts come from? Where do your emotions come from? When you go inwards and look for answers inside, not outside. Don't look out here. Go inside when you have questions about yourself or the world, and find the truth, find the answers inside yourself, because you have this ability. Everybody else does too. But we see the problems in other people when we can actually fix the problems right here that we have with other people. And that's just learning to let go. Let go of any emotional states that you may be emitting from different people that you interact with who may not, have your best interests, or maybe they trigger you somehow. What is it about yourself that is causing this triggered emotion reaction that you're having? Ask the questions about yourself. Don't look out here and say, well, that person is an asshole or whatever. No, don't, that person is mean, whatever. No, don't. It's not about them, because this path is about you. This experience is about you and your perception of your reality. That's the truth of what is happening out here. We're all experiencing the same environment, sort of. You can't really say that 100% either, because everybody has their own space, and their own space is created by them. And if you've created a world of your own around you, wouldn't that make you a creator God too? To an ant, or to a mouse, or to, think about these things, like we have lower consciousnesses in smaller forms. We call them low, but they're not necessarily low. It's just another state of consciousness experiencing this existence from a different perspective. And it's fascinating when you start getting on this train of thought and you have all these questions about what's really going on. So I hope you like this video. I just want to raise awareness. I really do. I want people to really start to wake up exponentially to what is really going on out here, because these ceremonies that I've just showed you, that's not normal. That's not normal entertainment. That's not something you go out here and you see people just dancing in a parade, waving. No, they're doing rituals. They're performing these rituals for a reason. It's energetic. They're putting out a specific frequency. What are they emitting? Look at the context. Look at the content. Look at the colors. Look at the energy. All of these things have meaning, every single bit of it. And especially when you go into these different cultures and you pick up what some of the symbols are. And I did want to show you real quick though about that, about what was found in Africa. So let me just show you what I found about those ghillie suits, because I found that really fascinating about the African. Okay. Now, this is an African dance. And as you can see, this dance is based on the Kumpo, the Seme, and the Niase, who are the three mythological figures in the Diola people. And what they do is they dance around with this ghillie suit, basically. Exactly what we were watching in the other video. But this guy spins around and stuff. He's not going to tumble and roll around like the other ones did, but he does begin to spin around, which again is making energy. And so I got some conflicting information about this. One person said he's supposed to be a broom. Does that look like a broom to you? He's using a stick, yes, but that's to create the vortex field with the different palm leaves that he's got right there. So what I read about this though on Wikipedia is that, and I don't trust Wikipedia, but is that it's representing a ghost or a spirit, of course, as you and I would know. And that's why I said that this is, it's something that we need to bring into our awareness, because these things are everywhere out here in the world. These entities, they're thought form entities, and then there's other types of entities, and we need to know about them. I have several books on the subject because I wanted to broaden my knowledge base of such things, because when I'm working with my clients and the hypnosis that I do, I've realized that a lot of people have discord and disharmony in their body because of an entity. That's a huge possibility in everyone, because a lot of the people that come to me have health problems. Now, what are we looking at again? We're looking at the pharmaceuticals, which the term pharmaceutical comes from the Greek term pharmakia, which means drugs and sorcery. And if you are familiar with drugs and sorcery, that's basically dark magic. And, you know, a lot of what we've been told is you can't put that a natural product, something found from nature, can cure any disease. You can't do that. You will be thrown in jail or sued or both. And a lot of people have gone down, you know, they've been taken down and silenced by saying they can cure anything. Dr. Sebi, S-E-B-I, was one of those people. He was actually jailed and imprisoned because he was actually curing people of cancer and of AIDS, of herpes, pretty much any disease. If you gave him anyone with any disease, he would be able to cure them. And it was through the nutrition. But he does have a village down in Honduras. And if anybody needs to get that information, I'm sure you can find that online. But yeah, so they're performing sorcery on everyone. And, you know, I know a lot of people are going to look at this and go, what? I mean, they're going to think that I'm nuts. But when you go down these trails of knowledge, you learn a lot and you start forming the puzzle with different pieces. And you're putting all the pieces that you find, because they're scattered everywhere in the world right now. Everything is compartmentalized. You pick a piece and you put it in place. You pick a piece and you put it in place. And I feel like that's my purpose on this earth, is to bring forth the things that I've found along my journey, because I don't know everything. I'm not going to pretend to try to convince anybody of anything. You can either look into these things yourself or not. You know, I encourage people to go and find their own evidence of what I'm speaking about, because that's going to be the connecting point. Go out there and find some things. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I have found evidence of all of the things that I've spoken of in this video and all my other videos, because I am passionate about the truth. And I want to know many different hidden things, not just one level or the other, you know, trying to reveal, you know, somebody is a fraud. I don't care about that. That's surface level stuff to me. That's the stuff that other people can go out here in the world and do. I am about the hidden things, excuse me, the hidden things that have not been brought to the forefront of people's awareness. And, you know, I can't explain, except my soul was made for this purpose, because I cannot stop looking in many different directions. I am just fascinated with ancient technology, ancient astrology, ancient architecture, you know, hidden societies and secret societies. And I mean, there's no end. I can't seem to find an end to the amount of knowledge that I want to obtain. It's like I'm looking for something. It's like I'm on a never-ending quest for knowledge in health and spirituality and science, all these things. And then to know the world and what everyone has to say in their own culture. You know, I want to know stuff. That's the bottom line. That's why I'm here. I just want to know. So I hope that you like this video. And what I'm going to do is try to locate the other half of the Gotthard tunnel, because it's important to look at that as well. and see what they're doing, because they had an exterior performance that they did as they were entering into the mountain, and this part that you just saw was inside, and I don't even know that it was actually in the Gothard tunnel, but you know, maybe. It's just they do weird stuff. So anyway, but I just want to bid you guys adieu. And thank you for watching. If you watched this video all the way through, I sure do appreciate it, because I just want to help you and to help other people. That's my whole purpose here. Let's share as much information as possible. And if you like this, please subscribe and share. Give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment below, because I am very interested to know what other people find. And let's just share and reconnect with each other, because that's the most important thing we can do right now. With that, I bid you adieu. Until next time, thanks for watching.